Okay, welcome everybody. We've got a few minutes left here, just a minute or so. We're gonna let everybody get in here. If you can hear me and everyone's doing great, go ahead and let us know where you're joining us from today. You can throw that in chat. Wonderful. Perfect. Okay. Well, I'm sure other people are going to trickle in, but I want to make sure that we get started on time and get through this because there's a lot to get through with such an awesome announcement and course and learning about all this with I'm going to say the main writers for sure, Christy and Heidi here for this course. So, thanks everybody for joining us. My name is Alex Herbie. I work on the education team for PlayVS along with Christy and Heidi. And today, what we're going to be talking about is everybody's newest favorite course from the Gaming Concepts catalog is Gamecasting and Media Production. It's not we're not going to talk about it as a product, right? We're going to talk about what the experience is that gives students voice, confidence, and career-connected skills through esports and media. So hopefully that's why you're here because this course is absolutely awesome at engagement and getting those kids ready to have some like kind of skill sets and technical background so that they can move post-secondary into some success. So where this course sits is like at an intersection of esports, kind of storytelling and like media production, right? So this is a course where it's designed for like 7th through 12th. That's going to be our basis. I'm trying to set some baselines here. It's designed for grades 7 through 12, but it works both as an academic course and a production experience because kids are going to be doing this as kind of a project-based course or curriculum. And so they're not going to be just playing games. This is not about playing games. And remember, none of our courses are about playing games. It's about learning how to communicate, analyze, and produce professional content, building towards that professional portfolio that they can use in that post-secondary success, whatever that's going to be, whether they're moving into industry or they're moving into university. This course is going to just add to that portfolio. And what this course is going to be is kind of think of it as a broadcasting and digital media course that's built around students really care about, which obviously is gaming and building media towards those games. So I'm going to introduce Dr. Christy Custer and Heidi Albin here as our kind of basic hosts. I'm going to ask some questions throughout the webinar, but they're the showstoppers here. So Christy, go ahead and take it away, and we'll get started.
Sure. Well, it's great to see so many people join. We appreciate everyone being here. Like Alex said, Christy Custer, and my relevant background is that I was an educator for 24 years. English teacher. I was at an alternative school for 20 of those 24 years as a primarily English teacher and principal. But I have a lot of certifications, just that experience at the alternative school. So I'm speech theater, I'm journalism, I'm a driver's ed teacher, I have FACS, I have just a plethora of fun certifications. So I do a little bit of everything, and I'm on the ed team here at Play Versus.
And I'm Heidi Albin. I have 14 years of experience in the classroom, and I'm also one of the authors. And we, as a group of authors, there's four of us authors, and three of us taught at the alternative high school. So we're really good at thinking outside of the box and finding ways to engage students who maybe need a little bit more of a push to be engaged. So that's something that I love about this course. And Alex, if you want to go to the next slide, I'll talk a little bit about the engagement. So, as with all of the gaming concepts courses, we focus on using esports as the engagement engine to teach students relevant content. So, if you're familiar with gaming concepts curricula, you know that we don't teach video games. We use students' interest in video games to teach relevant content that they need to know. And that's where this course starts, is it starts with the students' interest that they already have in esports. And then it channels that engagement into communication and presentation skills, media literacy, ethical storytelling, career-connected production, broadcasting skills. And the thing is, students are not just playing games, they are creating content with purpose in this course. And that changes the dynamic into something that is very meaningful for students. This course moves students from just the passive consumption to purposeful creation. They're not watching streams, they're not playing video games, they're learning how to build streams and build broadcasts and communication skills. It puts the focus on communication, on media literacy, and career connection, but it's all through a context that feels authentic to students. So go ahead and go to the next slide there, Alex. I want to tell you about what makes gamecasting different and unique. So gamecasting and media production, like I said, it transforms students from viewers into creators. And this is a mindset shift. Students are no longer just consuming content, they're responsible for creating it. And that ownership changes how seriously they approach communication, preparation, and teamwork. Students don't just watch broadcasts, they produce them, they cast them, they analyze them, they host, they direct, they reflect. And that shift from consumer to creator changes how the students engage. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. This course is 100% project-based. The students don't just learn about shoutcasts and match recaps and demo reels and planning documents. They actually create them. And then the fun thing is these all go into an online portfolio that students can use in their future to showcase their work. So when students are done with this course, they have this online portfolio that has really good quality work that they've made during this course. And they can submit that to a competition, which Christy will talk about, but they can also use it as, to show prospective colleges or prospective careers or people that want to hire them to do work. So very valuable that they actually end with something they can take away. It's designed for grades 7 through 12, and I know that seems like a really large age range, and I'm going to explain how that can be so adaptable a little bit later. But the target grade range is 7 through 12, and it is a 25 lesson curriculum. It's comprehensive, all the planning is done. The instructors can simply start on day 1 and follow each lesson plan. Of course, they're not restricted to doing that, and we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. Let's see. The other thing I'll say is, and that we'll get into it a little bit more, is that it works in class and it also works after school, and it's designed for real schedules and real students. But we'll get into that later. So the big picture is that students have role rotation. This means they rotate through the roles instead of just sitting in one seat doing one thing all semester. And this role rotation is intentional. They discover the strengths that they didn't know they had, and they gain appreciation for every role in production, not just the one on camera. Because many students, when they think of esports, they think of the caster or the person playing the video game. But there's so many more career connections to the esports industry, and this curricula helps students see those different career connections. Some of the roles that the students take on during this course is the play-by-play and color commentators. And these roles, students are going to focus on communication and analysis. They also act as hosts and journalists. And in these roles, they focus on storytelling and interviewing. As the producers and directors, they learn technical control and leadership. And then this course builds towards a capstone project where all of these roles come together as students perform each role themselves to create one complete broadcast, which they put in their portfolio and can show off later. Students are excited to build esports industry skills during this course, and I want to emphasize that students are excited to build skills. And that's the fun thing about this is when students are interested in something, they actually want to learn the skills. So all of the skills that they learn in this course are transferable. So even students who never pursue esports will benefit from what they learn in this course. Communication, collaboration, professionalism, these are all universally valuable, and students practice them consistently in this course. While they're on camera, they build confidence in presentation and also interview skills. The journalism portions of this course teach students to ask better questions and communicate clearly. Technical production elements of this class teach problem solving and systems thinking. Soft skills like collaboration and time management are embedded in every single project. And again, these skills apply far beyond esports. They apply into media and business, college readiness. And what's so neat is that when these skills are presented to students through a medium that they enjoy, they not only have fun learning, but they take these skills more seriously and they learn them in more depth. That's the power of harnessing esports as the learning engagement engine and the conduit for these skills. Let's talk about the flexibility of this course and how you can implement it with your students. That you can implement this with your students in whatever way works best for your situation. One of our biggest design goals when we were creating this course was flexibility. We know that schools don't all have the same schedules or staffing or resources, so this course was built to flex into whatever already exists in your situation, whether it is a capstone class, an after-school program, or a unit embedded within another course. So schools can start simple and go advanced based on what they already have. No specialized technology is required for this. Your school does not have to have expensive studio or technology. Students can use an iPhone, or they can use a phone or a camera and the microphone that are built onto their Chromebook. And it can be as simple as that. But if your building has a full broadcast setup, well, they can use that too. This course adapts based on your staffing time and your student readiness. So it could be an introductory course just to spark student interest, or it could be a capstone course that is meant to round out a full CTE program. And this makes it realistic for both small programs or larger CTE pathways. And one of the benefits of the professional development that we offer is that we can show you how to use this course for your specific need and help you get that all set up. All right. Let's talk about differentiation and varying student levels. This is often the biggest concern educators have when we are in classrooms with students that have all kinds of different skill levels. And as I mentioned, students do not need access to studio or advanced tech to start. Beginners can be incredibly successful with basic skills using just a camera and a microphone, while advanced students can push themselves with OBS and higher end workflows, all using the same curriculum. How this works is the instructions are written for synchronous teaching and align directly with asynchronous student content. So if you want to use it synchronously in class, you're set up for that. If you want students to just go do it on their own, it's set up for that as well. So teachers can lead, coach, or just step back while maintaining the structure. The beginners would get an educator guided instruction and simple setups, and they would focus on fundamentals like communication, pacing, and teamwork. So that'd be your focus if you were introducing this as an introductory class or a summer program or a lower level class or in the middle school. However, advanced students, they could use independent workflows and have creative control. They can use advanced editing, audio, and production equipment. So everyone uses the same curriculum, it's just at different depths. The projects that a middle school student make will look different from the project a high school senior makes, but the lesson is the same. So again, I'll reiterate, synchronous or asynchronous. It has differentiation options and ideas for both struggling students and advanced students, and those are listed at the end of every single lesson. And this helps to avoid, tracking students out of an opportunity. And the goal of this is growth, not perfection. So many reasons why this can be used from anywhere from 7th grade to senior year. All right, let's go on to the
Heidi,
next
I've got a
slide.
question
Yeah.
for you real quick. As we're explaining to all the people on here right now that there's a lot of, project-based learning. There's a lot of, ownership. There's a lot of variability. A lot of great features in this class for today's learners. But what kind of support is put in place in the lessons or in the content, or what support can be given for some of these more advanced softwares that could be used for this class like OBS?
Right. So at the beginning of the course, on when it's on when you access it on Blueprint, there are some pages that have some suggestions for that. We have suggested softwares, suggested equipment, and we delineate it as if your course is a beginner course, here's suggested equipment. If you're intermediate and if you're advanced, here's some equipment that you can use. We also have the lesson plans are planned out in detail so that a teacher who knows nothing about game casting or media production could teach this course and make it sound like they know a lot about video games and game casting. We even have prompts in the lesson that say or paraphrase the following. And a teacher can just, with very minimal planning, stand up and follow this lesson plan and look like a pro. Now, with that said, I also don't want to give the impression that they are constrictive, that the lessons are constrictive, that a teacher would have to say exactly what we say. We have it nailed down to all of the details to make it easy for teachers, but we also encourage improvisation for teachers who have more of a background in the area. As far as support for technical support, there are support systems either through the PlayVS website or directly in Blueprint. There's a little bubble at the bottom right-hand corner of your Blueprint page that you can click and get direct help from that as well. There's feedback that you can leave, and anything I'm forgetting that Christy or Alex that you would want to think of?
There's also professional development.
Yes.
So we can provide professional development either on Blueprint, about Blueprint, about the course, about the OBS, and how to get started. Let's say you want your students are in the middle. They're not advanced enough where they know OBS really well, but they're not so young that they just want to use that video camera and the microphone. So we can provide professional development for that. So we have scaffold not only for the student, but we've scaffold for the teacher all along the way. One of the main reasons that we wrote this course was because we had so many teachers reaching out that said, we want to dip our toe into gaming concepts. We've heard about gaming concepts, and maybe it's already the middle of the year, and so they don't want to, or they're not able to do a full fundamentals course or a full interactive media gaming concepts course. So this is a way that people can dip their toe into it. And maybe it's as a journalism teacher, maybe it's a broadcasting course, and you have students that are interested in going beyond just the traditional sports broadcasting that is so common in schools, or the announcements, the morning announcements. And so this is a way to bring in students where they can cast, they can use those broadcasting skills, but just use it in a different light. And you'll see this, even if it is sports broadcasting, you'll see students. I've especially been noticing it with all of the football that's been going on leading up to the Super Bowl and leading up to the National Football Championship. There's a lot of women that are broadcasters, and they may have never played the sport. And so I think that that's fun for, maybe students that don't necessarily like to play video games, but they love broadcasting. This is a way that they can get into those after school activities. Maybe you have an esports team after school. And so it just opens up so many avenues for where you can put this class or where you can put these lessons, as well as if you're a teacher and you're like, I have zero idea about esports, or I have zero idea about shoutcasting or streaming, you don't have to. We're going to walk you through that.
We have an excellent support team. All right. Well, let's move on to the next slide. And let's talk about different entry points, different ways you can use this. We hear a lot that the gaming concepts classes are classes that students don't want to miss, and that attendance improves because students feel ownership over their work and their team. Educators consistently will cite high student engagement, clear alignment to CTE and media pathways, authentic assessment through performance, strong collaboration and peer accountability, and that students show up and stay engaged. And with those students engaged, teachers can decide where the students start and how far they go in regards to this course. Some groups are going to stay guided and collaborative. They might be, as Christy said, a summer course or an enrichment course where it's kind of lower level and it's guided instruction, and this teacher says, do this, do this, do this. Others might move into the other end of the spectrum with independent capstone projects. So this would be, the idea would be a student has taken courses leading up to this and already knows a lot of the information, and they can do this as an independent capstone. And this supports mixed ability classrooms and different program goals. The thing I like about having a course that is formatted to where it can be taught asynchronously is when you teach it synchronously, if you have students that want to work ahead, they can just go ahead and work ahead. Slide 10, please, Alex. Let's look at some implementation models. Some possible implementation ideas for your school is it's all over the place. It can, like I said, work as a capstone in a CTE or media pathway. So we have an interactive media course, a streaming course, and a shoutcasting course that could lay the foundation in that CTE pathway for this to function as a capstone project. Or this could function as a multi-week or semester-long unit within a broadcasting journalism or media class that a teacher already has curriculum for, but they want to spice it up a little bit. And schools can scale this course up or down based on time, staffing, and student readiness. It can also be sprinkled into an existing media tech course as just individual lessons. So a teacher could pick and choose the projects or the lessons that they think would help, enhance whatever their current curriculum is. It works really well as an extracurricular before or after school production program because it's 25 lessons. If you don't meet every single day, if you have an after school club that meets twice a week or so, this will work really well for that. It could be used as a summer school or summer enrichment. It can be used for camps. It can be used as a library media activity. It doesn't have to be just part of a classroom. It doesn't have to be just during the school day. It can be after school. The point is, you don't have to redesign your entire schedule to use it. Find what works in your schedule, and this is flexible enough that you can plug it in for your students in whatever way is going to be most appropriate for your situation.
Heidi, I think our library media specialists are one of the groups of people that we might underutilize for a class like this, and maybe gaming, competitive gaming, and esports in general, because they do have, such a knowledge. When we were, when we were kids, the librarian was the librarian, and it was books, and it
Mhm.
was go back as far as I'm at, it was the card catalog and all of
Mhm.
that stuff. But library media specialists have just evolved so much in the last, decade or even 15 years that I think that this would really be maybe in the middle school also, especially if you have those K-8 buildings or those intermediate buildings where I know in our school district, they had to teach a unit on that was time that was one of the specials almost was when they went to the library. And so I think that this would be a great um, course or set of instructions that a library media specialist could do. And then Heidi, when I'm talking about that and somebody's going 25 lessons, that's a lot of lessons. Can you talk a little bit about, I didn't know whether to put it here or whether we should talk about it actually in the portfolio piece, but I think here might be right in between might be a good spot. What we have done for those people, and this was a teacher that was piloting the class that actually said, I can't get 25 lessons in. We only meet after school, and they meet 12 times for an hour and a half, and that's with practice. And so that person really made us, if we want this to be flexible and we want this to be very implementable, Heidi, do you want to talk about what we did there or what you did there?
Yeah, absolutely. We we looked at the different lessons that have portfolio pieces in them. So there's kind of four different options that we narrowed it down to. So first option is all 25 lessons start day 1 and day 25. It's going to cover everything, be totally comprehensive. But let's say that you need to cut some days out. There's another option that is 16 lessons long, where we list out the lessons that specifically have something to do with the portfolio. And so the students aren't getting as much of the background information, but they're still doing every single component that will end up in their portfolio so that they can submit it for the competition or use it in the future, and everything's there. A third option is reducing it down to 11 lessons. This would be doing the first and last lesson in Unit 1, and then all of the lessons in Unit 4 and Unit 6. And this would be if you want to, like that school where they have about 12 weeks. And this is going to help students set up their portfolio. Unit 4 is a really good walkthrough of the entire process. So again, you're going to cut out you're going to cut out units 2 and 3, and they're going to miss out on some of the build up to that. But if your students have some experience, or if you're just fine with them doing, a little bit of an abbreviated course, then these 11 lessons will suffice. And then finally, we narrowed it down to the 8 essential lessons. And these would be lessons that you can't grasp the entirety of the course without doing these 8 essential lessons. And so any school that is, wanting to kind of modify the 25 lesson plan into a different number of lessons, professional development, scheduling some professional development is a great way, because we'll sit down with you and we'll look at how many days you have, and we'll help you come up with a schedule for exactly which lessons to use.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Heidi and Christy, for kind of that explanation and all that commentary on there. I want to introduce Logan Trent, who's just joined us now, or actually a few minutes ago. But I want to introduce Logan as a really great contributor to this course, providing a lot of game centric knowledge and the things that we as educators and course writers don't always know all the ins and outs of the games. And so, Logan, if you wanna jump on here for these next couple of slides and introduce yourself and talk about this.
Alex,
Yeah.
could you maybe unblock Logan's camera?
Um,
Maybe, maybe. We
I
can talk
can.
about it. We can talk about it anyway.
We can talk about it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I want to give some credit, extra credit, because if I'm a teacher, extra credit to Logan
Got it.
because Logan, I think you're good now, because he was really has been one of the impetus behind. Hey, there he is. There he is. Impetus behind this course, and he's been thinking about it for a long time. And especially, he said when Gaming Concepts joined to Play Versus, they finally had the opportunity to have curriculum writers. And so we're always looking for ways that we can work with the competition team. And so I thought this was a great idea, Logan. And so do you want to talk a little bit about where the idea came from? And then we've actually had a little bit of a pilot last semester, very small pilot. So nobody got a real jump on anybody else, but we had a small pilot just to see if there would be any interest in there. Logan, would you like to talk about that a little bit? Oh, we can't hear you. Uh-oh.
Let's try now.
There you
There you
go.
go.
There we go. All righty. Yeah, thanks, Christy. You are far too kind. So, as mentioned, my name is Logan. I'm with the live operations team here at Play Versus. And yeah, I started with the customer support team, and then I worked in knowledge content for a little bit, working on rule books. And if anybody does know about it, but Play Versus Academy for a little bit, and we started talking about, okay, what would it be like for students to kind of learn a little bit more about the games, but also just about the industry and all that kind of stuff. So for the last like 4.5 years since I've been here, just been looking for opportunities to bring the real world transitional skills to esports because there's so much more past the competition available for kids to learn. So when Gaming Concepts came into the picture, it was a really, really, really cool opportunity to see those things well in the works. So the opportunity to work with Christy, Heidi, and Alex and the team to bring what I work on is the playoffs and championships, and working with our remote broadcasting team to bring as many matches as we can in a season to our parents and our coaches and admins and folks that want to see how things work. The opportunity to get students involved in that is something that we've really, really, really wanted to do. And we think this is a great opportunity to do it. So the Gamecasting Challenge is just participating in building the materials that Heidi just got through covering, building all of those elements to understand that what you're learning in this course is how to take that into a career, potentially. And we're trying to do that on a smaller scale here. So students will build their portfolio and then apply to be a part of our production team, essentially. So we'll take some of the best students that we have, we'll review all of the materials, and we will take some potential future broadcasters to work alongside a team that has just as much passion for getting students involved in the space, professionally speaking. And as Christy mentioned, we did get to test this out a little bit in the last season. The VOD is available if you go to our Twitch channel and check out either the Florida FASA championship or the Alaska ASAA championship for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. You can see that Amy, our student caster, our very first one, did an incredible job working with Septilence, a really great broadcaster in the space for Scholastics as well. And they did a great job. It was awesome. It was everything that we had hoped for, and it really helped liven up and push everything forward to get this challenge out in front of you all. So,
Logan, did Amy, was she a gamer?
I believe she played Fortnite, actually.
Okay.
I believe that was the only real title that she played. But we kind of just asked what titles that she was comfortable casting, and she had friends in her program that played Smash, and she was familiar with it. So we had a few meetings with her coach at Van Cleve High, and our production team to really make sure everybody was set up for success. And then we had a great show.
Well, and that's what I wanted to point out and encourage people is I think that the first thing that we do is we go to our gamers and we think to ourselves, okay, who are our esports people that are going to be really good at this? And it really doesn't work that way necessarily. Now, do gamers make good casters? Sure, they can, but this could really be anyone in your school, anyone with a little bit of a big personality, or I shouldn't even say a big personality. I should just say some type of unique personality, I think goes over really well. And, someone that's well spoken, someone that is good at research. This might be the quiet student that ends up shining in a competition like this. And especially with having that professional beside them, if they get to that point, I think that really brings out the personality and the true caster in that person, and they're dual and they work together. So I do want to encourage people that don't just think of your gamers. Put this out to your broadcast classes, put this out to maybe the students that get in a little bit of trouble and being from the alternative school world, they do have those big personalities. Maybe capture a kid with esports gaming shoutcasting. So I think we have a question here. Michael Russell, did you have? Okay, maybe I missed it. Okay. Oh, wait. If he pops on there, I think he had a question, but he might have just direct messaged it to me, and I don't want to slow down our I don't want to slow down our production because Logan's on here and he'll get on me here about this. So let's talk a little bit about the Play versus Gamecasting Challenge. What does that mean? What does it look like? So just an overview. So students are going to complete a professional. They're going to go through the 6 units, or like Heidi said, there's a couple of other options, but our best case scenario is they go through the 6 units, and the last unit they're going to complete a professional quality broadcast, and then they can take their body of work and they can submit it to the Play versus Gamecasting Challenge. And so we are going to provide authentic feedback and opportunities for national recognition. And so this can either be like Logan was talking about, it was in Florida and Alaska. Those were the, state competitions there. But then we also have our Play versus Cup, and that will be in late May, June, early June, I believe. And so there's one person, maybe two, if we can nudge Logan just a little bit, depending on how good they are, might actually get to do it on the national stage also. And so it really, I think, raises the stakes for students in a healthy way. And I think what a lot of us know is that when you um, raise the stakes for students, or if you set a bar high for kids, it will surprise us. It surprises the heck out of me a lot. They will often reach that challenge. But it also, they see that their work matters beyond the classroom. And so it often motivates them for higher quality preparation and performance. I was an English teacher. I had a terrible time getting students to revise. The first draft is never the final draft, and this really helps them with the revision process. So with that national competition, they're going to submit a 2 to 5 minute cast. They are going to put in their portfolio a detailed run of show, like real broadcasts use, like they will see if they have the opportunity to do a state or a national cast. They're going to submit their digital portfolio with artifacts that they get to choose. We're going to tell them you have to have so many of your voice, you have to have so many on camera, you have to have so many run of shows, but they get to choose from the assignments that they've been doing throughout the course. And so that's really a motivator for students, so that it's not just this end of course thing that they're going to put in. It's you need to do your best work throughout the whole course. We want to see growth throughout the whole course. And it really mirrors real world audition and a hiring process. So Alex, if you would zip to the next one there. Like I said, it's very similar to an audition or demo reel submission. Logan, can you talk about what that's like? Because I've never had that broadcast experience. So I have that big personality, but I don't feel comfortable with the broadcast experience.
Yeah. I think outside this goes a little past like just the broadcast side as well.
Uh-huh.
Just being in the digital media space and production space and things like that. In the majority of the roles, especially if you're in front of the camera or working on the camera that was captured, if you're an editor or something like that, building a reel and building a collection of your materials is extremely important. It's the equivalent of a resume for to visually communicate what you worked on and what you're capable of. And it's a really great way for you to say, this is who I am in a lot of ways. And we want the students to get a real taste of what that is like in a fairly low stakes environment. You're not
Yeah.
applying for a job here. You're not applying for a college even, but it can help set you up for when you are going to do those things.
Yes. And Logan, I don't think I touched on this, and I don't think Heidi did a lot, but we're not just looking for the in front of the camera people. There's a whole unit in the book on the production people. And these are people behind the cameras, or, writing the writers, the script writers, and the people that find the data. And I don't think, especially as a teacher who doesn't have that background in esports, I did not realize all of the production that went into even a high school, or I shouldn't even say even a high school, into any type of esports event.
Yeah, I mean, just the reason I wanted to, or I gotten so involved in esports. I played baseball through high school growing up, but never at any point did a coach come to me and say I could be an analyst or I could work for ESPN or something like that. Like those didn't really come to me until I got to college, and then I saw esports start to gain traction and realized that the digital media experience and the broadcasting, live studio environments, all that stuff exists for esports as well. So, and just as important, because it exists in the esports side, it's coming from the traditional sports side as well. So again, those transitional skills, just all of the production elements, as Christy mentioned, editors, script writers, producers, talent management, all of those things are places your students can go.
And the next slide, Alex, I want to talk a little bit about the recognition that students can get. We've been talking about, the state competitions that students can do live casting in, and the national competition, the ultimate competition that there's a possibility of them to do a cast in. But the other thing is we're going to try to take as many of the submissions that we get and use those as Logan, I don't even know the word for it. Filler, commercial type things. What's that called?
It's just it's content at the end of the
Thank
day.
you. Thank you. I
It's
couldn't
kind
think
of
of the word.
Feature
the
spot.
way, yeah, the features, highlights.
Yes, yes, yes. All the things I wrote about. Yes. And so that there's another, we're going to try to get as much student work highlighted in, either on our socials or on the actual cast itself or, in between, games. We're going to try to get as much student work, even if they're not a finalist, we're going to try to get as much student work so that students can get recognitions and opportunities. And that's a resume builder, absolutely a resume builder. And I think, what we found is that this isn't colleges aren't just looking for Super Smash Brothers player. They're not just looking for the esports athletes. They're looking for people that can come in professionally, that they know how to dress, taught in the book. They know how to talk, taught in the book. They know how to act. And we talk about when you are an esports athlete or you're any part of a university, if you're behind the camera, in front of the camera, you're representing that university. Professionalism is really what I'm talking about. Just like in a job, I represent PlayVS. Whether you are ready or not, you represent that company. And they're not going to say Christy Custer from, small town America. They're going to say an employee of PlayVS. And so these are all things that are taught in the book. Okay, Alex.
Christy, I just wanted to draw our attention real quick to a question that we've got. We've mentioned, and this is going to go back to the curriculum side, but what, with the adaptability and the variability with this course, does a teacher need a specific licensure to teach this as a capstone?
Oh, excellent question. So it would depend on where the capstone is being placed. Because of the flexibility of the course, if you're using this as a capstone in a broadcast journalism class, you're going to have some type of journalism certification. I was thinking about, I'm a speech theater teacher. And so if I'm going, I might use this at least as an option for some of my students in speech courses because everybody hates to give speeches, but if you put a video camera and a microphone in front of them and call it, shoutcasting or streaming, I've got so many kids in the class that I gotta go get more desks and chairs and all of that good stuff. So it would depend on where you put it. But obviously, if you use it as a capstone to your esports team, because this is another thing is to help bring those esports coaches in who might not have those certifications. This might be, all the kids come for practice. This might be what the shoutcasting streaming production students practice. This might be their practice. So they're not just, sitting around or, they come to practice, they're part of the team or they're part of the club, but they also have something that they can work on. So great question. And it would really depend on how you are using it. If you're using it during school hours, especially outside of an elective, if it's just a straight elective, I don't think that, and it depends on what state you're in, but if it's just a straight elective, it probably doesn't matter as much. But if in one of those CTE courses, especially, you're going to have some type of CTE certification or a certificate, in broadcast journalism, English, speech, wherever you're going to teach that at.
Yeah.
Great question. Okay. I want to make sure everyone sees, this is something that we're concerned about. We don't know if we're concerned about this nothing's going to happen, or it is going to happen, but we just want to remind, Heidi mentioned it, everyone that they have to use royalty-free music in their submissions to ensure you can be featured at nationals. We talk about it in the book, but I just want to reiterate it over and over. I would hate to get something that's just fantastic and they use copyrighted music, because that's a big deal. We don't want to do that. We don't want Taylor Swift coming after us.
Yeah.
Some of the career and future readiness skills, this is absolutely career exploration. This is absolutely experiential. Students are trying different roles. They're reflecting. They're discovering their interests. Maybe they didn't know that they liked to be the color commentator. Maybe they didn't know that. They're not only exploring broadcasting and journalism, but all kinds of digital content careers. And then once again, we cannot overemphasize, they're leaving this course with a tangible portfolio piece that they can take to a college for scholarships or take to a job. Or so many of our states now are requiring some artifact that shows, okay, you took this course. Did you sleep through this course? Did you AI this course? I want to see what you have done. Well, if you're the one there in front of the camera and it's your voice, that's what you've done. So I just think they gain a lot of experience that mirrors the industry. And so it's definitely industry experience, and it's definitely a bridge from school to a future pathway. We want to reiterate, I know we're coming to the end here, and we want to leave time for questions and just wrap up stuff, but we want to emphasize the teacher first support. I am not a gamer. I am not a caster. I am at my heart, I am a high school teacher, and this course is written for high school teachers to be able to facilitate. And just like we say about our other gaming concepts courses, you don't have to know the game. The students know the games. You just have to be a rock star teacher. You just have to corral the cats and show them the purpose. That's why we so often say purposeful play, and you're using the games for a purpose. And that's what you have to do as a teacher. But just remember that we are here for you for professional development. We are here for you we have help articles at the PlayVS site, at the Help Center, on Blueprint. All you have to do is press the button. So we're going to be with you every step of the way to get you through it also. And especially you don't have to worry about the technology things. If you have a video camera and some type of microphone, and maybe that's just a cell phone, that's going to work. We know we're going to get a lot of submissions that are video cameras and microphones. I mean, cell phones. We know we're going to get a lot of submissions with cell phones, and that is just fine if that's what you have.
Okay.
I think that's mostly it from me, guys. Are there questions? Logan, what made Amy so special?
Whew, that's a good question. I think the biggest thing that as someone who's working so closely with the production element, where this course leads up to, it's the passion for why. It's kind of like the why I do what I do is students finding a home and finding their own space. And that was so clear in her application that she had the program meant so much to her and that esports meant so much to her, and she loved this space so much that it was kind of a no-brainer for her to be someone that we wanted to work with. So that's kind of like a student showing that how passionate they are about something is like the easiest way to get a leg up on somebody else in a lot of ways. And it just it goes so far. The willingness and the desire to want to do something, especially in the production space, because those can be long days. Those can be pretty intense moments. And especially if you're in front of the camera, the seeing the passion and seeing the desire, it really, really helps kind of put the cherry on top to a really great portfolio. So, there's like written that in the application itself, there's written spots of like, why do you want to do this? Like, that's where you really can sell yourself at the end of the day as a student. You can talk about those pieces that I mentioned, because it was very clear on the broadcast that Amy wasn't immediately ready to go on a very professional broadcast, but we didn't expect that. She was just wanting to learn and willing to kind of dive in. And that was all we could ask for.
Yeah. And Logan, I think this goes back to that professionalism piece once again. And this was actually in the revision of the course that people asked for the professionalism piece, because we really hadn't thought about that. But you want to work with people who you can stand to work with. And I'm looking at my colleagues and kind of giving a side eye. But because like you said, it can be, what are you going to do when inevitably, because we know this is going to happen, you're going to have technology issues. And your run of show says you're doing this for 2.5 minutes and now it's minute 7. We better be able to talk back and forth. So I think that what you said about Amy, that willingness to learn also, I think, is what we saw with her too. She had skill, but then that willingness to learn also.
Yeah, I mean, the first 15 to 20 minutes of the broadcast was nowhere near as awesome as the last 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
The first broadcast she ran, she was definitely getting comfortable in there. And then by the end of the broadcast, she was starting to find her footing. We do our best to pair our students with a caster that is very flexible and has worked with student casters before and is very aware of those pieces. So making sure that the student is as comfortable as they can be ensures that they can have those moments to shine.
Yeah.
And I see a question about the can it be submitted as a duo? And the submission consists, what the student submits is a link to their online portfolio, and that online portfolio is going to contain 6 items that they can choose. 3 of those items are required, and then 3 of them are things that they can kind of choose which show their best. And so on that portfolio, there most likely will be some duo casting because students practice that. And in their highlight reel that they create, there will probably be some duo casting. So yes, duo casting can definitely be part of the submission, part of what is in the portfolio. However, there will be a final piece where students are casting a video that has been provided by PlayVS. And that's just one part of the overall portfolio. And that one part of the overall portfolio, we're looking for a solo cast because we are looking to showcase a student. Would you agree with that, Christy and Logan?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yep. Yeah, if it's a duo, they should each submit their own application to the process and like leave notes in there that says that they duo cast regularly with this person who is also applying. Like that helps us as well, because there's a lot of we would love to showcase as many students as possible. So if there's already a team of 2 that look really great, are very professional and work really well together, that's something that I know I, as one of the project managers on the production side, would love to be able to highlight.
Well, and remember, so we had that very, very small pilot last semester, but this is the first time we're really doing it. And so
Mhm.
when people ask me questions about, well, what about this and what about this? And I'm like, yes.
Let's try it.
Because we don't know for sure. We don't know what we're going to get. And so if we get, like Logan said, two outstanding students that are a duo, you know, I I know Logan and his team well enough that they want to highlight the best. That's what they're looking for is the best. And what we're ultimately trying to do is very selfish. We have a partnership with the National High School Activities Association, and we would love for every state to have their own army of casters that,
Mhm.
when they do these live events and if they do these in Kansas, it's this week. It's this weekend is the Kansas State High School Activities Association um, championships, and so we would love to have built, these casters, whether it's through this course or we have this shoutcasting and streaming course. We want these students to slide right into these professional positions and be the next generation of casters.
Absolutely. Okay, well, I think that's it for everybody here. If anybody has any further questions, please throw those in chat while I'm talking, and we can probably get to them at the end or email an answer to you. But I'm just so grateful for the team here to be able to provide all of the content and this kind of unveiling of our new course for gamecasting and media production, because this is something that has been asked about and requested, and us delivering it and fulfilling this need for schools and teachers and students to have a course like this that is, preparing students for post-secondary success, building those skills, and also engaging them in the learning process is something that is paramount to our education system today. Christy.
I got a direct question, and I'm a little bit embarrassed that we didn't answer this, because in my mind I know what it looks like. They said, "What does the submission look like?" And that could be scary. And so I want to alleviate this. Don't be scared, because this was something that Heidi really fleshed out, because I would be scared of this too. And so it is an online portfolio. Heidi, what are the three that you suggest?
There is their highlight reel. At the end of the course, they create a highlight reel compiling their best moments.
Heidi,
Uh,
which one? We went over that, but where do they put their stuff?
Oh,
What website?
which program do?
Yes.
It is up to what you're comfortable with and
Yes.
what the student is comfortable with. We don't reduce it down to say it has to be a profile from Wix or it has to be from Google. It's whatever. If they want to create their online portfolio through Canva, because that's what
There
they're
you go.
used to, great. If they want to use Wix or Google Sites, anything is,
Right.
yeah.
But Heidi gave three very simple ones to use. So if they're not sophisticated, that I can use them. I got on and I could put things in there, and so they are very simple. And so they're going to have a web address, and so it's a Google form that they fill out with, some very basic. We're not trying to gather student information. We just needed to know their name. They include their instructor uh, with their submission so that the instructor sees what we get. And so it's a name, an email address, their website address, why they want to be a caster, and that's it. And so this isn't this huge, I mean, the class is the huge. And so at the end, it's just I take that stuff, I decide what I want, and then I submit it.
At the end of the course, they're going to have a portfolio. And if they want to submit it for the competition, they submit it. If they don't want to submit it for the competition, they still do all the same work during the course. So the course prepares the submission, but students are not required to enter
Right.
this competition. If a teacher wants to not have anything to do with the competition, or it's just not a good fit for them, this is still a really valuable course, even if the students don't submit their final product for the competition. They still end up with a professional portfolio and all the experience.
We left that out.
I did.
No, we
Let
saved it for
someone
the
else.
end.
We saved it for
Yes,
the
we
end.
saved
There
it.
we go.
Saved it for the end. You got to stay to the end to get the really important questions answered. So again, thank you everybody for being on here tonight. I'm going to post a couple of things here in chat to everybody. One is going to be kind of a one-pager about this, and what's awesome about this, if you're really ready to hit the ground running with this, there is a sense of urgency for the competition because we're going to use it this year at nationals, like the big nationals for us, so PlayVS Cup. And so March 20th is that deadline for getting them in for your submissions. So if you've got kids that are ready to go and they want to start doing this, give us a call, give us an email, and we will get you hooked up with what you need to go. Along with that, if you need to, let's see, it looks like they're slightly spaced apart. Maybe not. I tried my best in the chat there, but the first one there, the top of that message is that one pager. The bottom of that is our YouTube channel. Go ahead and like and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this, or to see how to use OBS, or how to see how teachers are using gaming concepts and esports in the classroom. We have a ton of stuff on there, hundreds of videos on there about esports and education and its benefits. Across a wide bit of subjects from all kinds of webinars and panels we've done. So again, thanks everybody for being here tonight, and I look forward to all of you joining us in the next webinar. And so all of you have a great evening.